Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. Let me start with some macro thoughts. The S&P 500 yesterday retook its 200-day moving average. Look at this chart from Bespoke Invest. This tends to be a key level for chartists, so really how we behave around here is going to be quite key, I think, for the next few weeks. Home thoughts, I like this from Destination TZ. It's a photograph by David Ashby, and it's of western Usambara, Tanga, Tanzania. The Usambara mountain ranges are 90 kilometers long, 43 kilometers wide, and were formed nearly 2 million years ago by faulting and uplifting, and are composed of Precambrian metamorphic rocks. And these towns that are included are Bumbuli, Lushoto, and Mombo. And we had a chap who worked for us for more than 40 years. His name is Juma Hamed, who's now returned home. And his home is Lushoto. And interesting character he was too, extraordinary fellow. And he always used to describe it to me as like some kind of alpine retreat, and I've wanted to go for many years. I like this tremendous photograph from New York Times in and around Lake Manze in the Salisbury Game Reserve. Elephants gather at sunset. Why getting back to the moon is so damn hard. This is MIT. Astronomers using the Hubble Space Telescope have found the furthest star ever observed, a bright dot 9 billion light years away. This discovery required the fortuitous alignment of a massive galactic cluster. The cluster warped the starlight, bending it toward Earth, while magnifying the star 2,000 times. It's something called gravitational lensing. Officially, the star's name is MACS J1149 plus 2223 Lens Star 1, but the astronomers are calling it Icarus. Icarus was 100-fold more distant than any other lone star previously detected, according to Patrick L. Kelly, an astrophysicist in the University of Minnesota. Normally, only phenomena like supernovas, catastrophic stellar explosions, or entire galaxies are detectable at such vast distances. Let me leave you with a photograph of elephants from David Yarrow looking through some shots in the studio from 2 weeks ago in Kenya. We really did encounter some giants, he said. Political reflections, watch this. This is Julius Malema speaking about Winnie Mandela, saying that she was supposed to be president of South Africa, but the men in the ANC were threatened by a woman. He is a very keen speaker, speaks well to his audience. Salisbury poisoning. UK experts cannot prove Novichok nerve agent used on the Skripals came from Russia, the Ministry of Defense says. We have not identified the precise source, but we have provided the scientific info to the government, who have then used a number of other sources to piece together the conclusions. Well, that's interesting. Trump getting along with Russia would be a good thing, not a bad thing. Just about everybody agrees with that, except very stupid people. Chinese embassy responded, as the Chinese saying goes, it is only polite to reciprocate. Very interesting interview in the Atlantic magazine with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. I believe the Iranian supreme leader makes Hitler look good. Hitler didn't do what the supreme leader is trying to do. Hitler tried to conquer Europe. The supreme leader is trying to conquer the world. Then he's asked about Wahhabism. First of all, this Wahhabism, please define it for us. We're not familiar with it, we don't know about it. Goldberg, what do you mean you don't know about it? MBS, what is Wahhabism? Goldberg, it's a movement founded by Ibn Abd al-Wahhab in the 1700s, very fundamentalist in nature and austere Salafist style interpretation. MBS, no one can define Wahhabism. There is no Wahhabism. We don't believe we have Wahhabism. We believe we have in Saudi Arabia Sunni and Shiite. We believe we have within Sunni Islam 4 schools of thought. And we have the ulema, the religious authorities, and the board of fatwas, which issues religious rulings. Yes, in Saudi Arabia it's clear that our laws are coming from Islam and the Quran, but we have the 4 schools, Hanbali, Hanafi, Shafi, and Maliki, and they argue about interpretation. I'll take you back to November 2017 when I was quoting the Crown Prince, who said, how can I communicate with them while they prepare for the arrival of Al-Mahdi al-Muntazar? And I was saying that the existential paranoia in the head of a 32-year-old wannabe king is evidenced in this comment about Iran in May last year. How can I communicate with them while they prepare for the arrival of Al-Mahdi al-Muntazar? International markets, by one measure, the US granted 13% fewer visitor visas over the past 12 months when compared with fiscal 2016, according to the State Department data analyzed by Politico. The State Department also released the total number of visitor visas issued worldwide for fiscal 2017, most of which fell under Trump. That total, 9.7 million, was well below the fiscal 2016 total of 10.4 million and offers further evidence that Trump's efforts to curtail access to the United States are working. Of course, tourism will be at the sharp end of that. Big tech stabilizes after sell-off all Fangman stocks in the green, that's Holger. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro dollar 122.69, dollar index 90.16, Japanese yen 106.56, Swiss franc 0.9583, the pound 140.60, the Australian dollar 0.7693, India rupee 64.985, South Korean won, which is firm, 1059.12, Brazilian real 334.11, Egyptian pound 17.6785, and the rand 11.8501. Dollar index, my stop is at 88, and I'll stick with that. Euro dollar, this is a more apocalyptic chart from Henrik Zeeberg. Last trading at 122, where are we? 122.69, and I tend to think we're headed down back below 120. It's up, Tesla, that was yesterday, JS Blockland, but I think he's lost his mind, as evidenced in his April Fool's joke, which really wasn't, given the circumstances that Tesla finds itself in. Spotify, this is the basic corporate data as we know it at this moment in time from Holger. WPP has lost 1/3 of its market value over the past 12 months. And now the board has hired a law firm to investigate an allegation of personal misconduct against Sir Martin Sorrell. The Wall Street Journal reported on the matter earlier Tuesday, saying the investigation involved personal behavior and possible misuse of assets. So we'll just have to see how that turns out. Let's move on to the commodity markets. Vanilla prices are going nuts. Have a look at this. Through Monday, cocoa futures in New York had surged 39% this year after tumbling 41% over the prior 2 years. At the same time, chocolate demand continues to grow. Global retail sales reached $102.3 billion in 2017 and are expected to climb 8.2% by 2022. According to Euromonitor International, gold last trading at 13.36. That's been well supported with the elevated geopolitical risk. Crude oil last trading at $63.31 WTI. I think you buy the dips. Stunned investors reap 95% gains on defaulted Puerto Rico bonds. Who would have believed it? Debt once worth 21 cents on the dollar now trades at 41 cents. Some have doubts the numbers are still pretty ugly. Of all the wild, head-scratching moves in financial markets this year, there are few that have surprised investors quite as much as the rally in defaulted Puerto Rico bonds. Just blows my mind, says Matt Dalton, CEO of Bellhaven Investments. Since sinking to a mere 20.8 cents on the dollar in December, the island's most frequently traded securities have climbed steadily and reached a high of 45 cents last week. Let's move on to Africa. South Korea has deployed an anti-piracy warship after a hijack of a fishing boat off the coast of Ghana. The ministry said the fishing boat had about 40 crew, mostly from Ghana, but including 3 South Koreans. It said the pirates used a speedboat to take away the South Koreans. I like this photograph. City places under construction, Julius Nyerere Airport, Terminal 3, Dar es Salaam. The wars will never stop. Millions flee bloodshed as Congo falls apart. I was just a foot soldier, so I don't really know why we were fighting, he said. There are lots of reasons, I think. I don't think the wars here will ever stop. They will probably get worse. Nothing is wrong. China's Xi tells Zimbabwe's president they should write a new chapter in ties. Mnangagwa, who was sworn in as president in November after a de facto military coup, ended Robert Mugabe's 37-year rule, has vowed to rebuild his country's ravaged economy and re-engage with the international community. China had considered Mugabe a good friend in a relationship dating back to its support for Zimbabwe's independence war, but pointedly failed to support him when he was ousted. I'm willing to work with Mr. President to jointly map out our future cooperation and write a new chapter in China-Zimbabwe relations for the benefit of our two peoples, he said. Trade between China and African countries reached $85.3 billion in the first half of 2017. Mnangagwa said that Zimbabwe appreciated China's political support and goodwill and thanked Xi for sending an envoy immediately upon his inauguration. That was a great honor, he said. As I said in August last year, Xi Jinping's OBOR program, One Belt, One Road, binds the world to Beijing because all the roads and railways have but one destination, and that is China. This is yesterday, that's tomorrow. This is the Moti Group Chairman Zunaid Moti said, comparing mining potential in his home base of South Africa to that of Zimbabwe. It's virgin, he said. However, Zimbabwe needs to make sure that the mining law overhaul is thorough, as investors will be suspicious of superficial changes, said Charles Lorry, Director and Head of Politics at UK-based risk advisory company Verisk Maplecroft. A high-risk, high-reward frontier mindset for at least the near term will be the order of the day for all investors considering Zimbabwe. I wrote 2 pieces in the last few days. On the 2nd of April, I wrote a piece called One of the Challenges Africa Faces on the World Stage is Consolidating 55 Voices into One. I was talking about the free trade zone that's being envisaged. 3rd of April, I wrote African Markets Performance in a Global Context, and I was looking at the global markets, currency markets, cryptocurrency, commodities, Eurobond markets, and then equity returns this year so far in Africa. Equity investors, I said, are making out all over the continent, and in some cases making out like bandits. Ghana's composite index is the world's best and is up 31.05% year to date. That is a triple-digit annualized gain. Right there, Malawi has posted a 17.1% return, Egypt 14.09, Namibia 13.61, and Nairobi's all-share has been breaking records throughout March, and Nigeria is up about 8%. I said, of course, below those headline numbers, individual stocks have posted even more startling and mouth-watering gains. When you look around the world, you will note that Africa is outperforming. I expect this to remain an overarching theme in 2018, I said. Currency performance in 2018, this is David Inglis, this was through towards the end of March. Benchmark equity index performances, biggest winners and losers again, David Inglis. I wrote a piece, is fair trade a silver bullet for African prosperity? Take a look. Morocco is the new investment capital of Africa. Investors betting on the economic promise of Africa should be looking to the north of the continent. That's according to the 2018 Africa Investment Index compiled by Quantum Global Research Lab, the research arm of a private investment group. Northern Africa dominates the top of the list, with Morocco, Egypt and Algeria taking up the top 3 positions respectively. Morocco's emergence as the top investment destination, one place up from last year, is attributed to its receptive business environment and low risk profile. Egypt and Algeria score high marks for liquidity. Nigeria is ranked 14th, Angola 19th. Africa's leading commodity-based economies do not feature among the top draws. Interesting. South African all-shares down 7.8% year to date. Had a bit of a wobble yesterday, wobbling again today. Let's keep an eye on what's developing, but it's going to be in a great buy zone pretty soon. Dollar versus Rand, 11.8501. You know, I think it's going to 11. Egyptian pound, 17.6785. Nigerian all shares up 6.83% year to date. Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index, the world's best, is up 30.51% year to date. Vogue magazine has discovered Lalibela and saying Lalibela, Ethiopia is the next Machu Picchu. Do take a look at that link. We found that by day 2, the entire ambience of Lalibela felt intoxicating, and we moved more slowly, sitting at the entrance to the churches and watching the rituals of the priests as they polished their crosses and blessed the arriving pilgrims. In the eastern set of churches, we hesitated in front of the entrance of a tunnel, unsure whether to go on. A group of young Ethiopians found us there and took us each by the hand, leading us through what we soon discovered was a representation of hell. Our guides chanted and made the sign of the crucifix on our backs. The stab of fear I felt during those minutes of complete darkness was replaced by the utter exhilaration of arriving in the blinking sunlight at the foot of yet another monumental church. Abba Libanos Church is seen in this photograph. That's in Lalibela, photographs by Getty Images. And in this one we see the exterior of St. George Church, again Getty Images. Coming to Kenya, Kenya Pipeline is planning to build facilities worth $125 million to handle and store liquefied petroleum gas, with a view to boosting cooking gas use in the rapidly urbanizing nation. Government in East Africa's biggest economy has scrapped value-added tax on cooking gas and subsidized the cost of 6 kilogram cylinders in a bid to make the fuel more affordable and attractive for its citizens, most of whom prefer cheaper charcoal, firewood and kerosene. For city dwellers, LPG is more convenient, and currently 30% of Kenyans live in urban areas, and the total number of people living in towns is expected to quadruple by 2045, according to the World Bank. It will enhance the current inadequate LPG supply, distribution and storage infrastructure, as well as increasing utilization of clean energy, Sang said. The opportunity to access green climate funds from multilateral institutions will be explored as well as the project finance option. Kenya shilling is at 101 the figure. Nairobi all shares up 12.10% year to date, and just 0.13% below a record high. Safaricom is up 16.822% year to date, outperforming the Nairobi All Share by just under 50%. Equity Bank is up 34.59% year to date, outperforming the Nairobi All Share by 196%. KCB is up 23.39% year to date, outperforming the All Share by 93.3%. EABL is up 8.82% year to date, and I think is further to go to the upside. The NSE 20 is up 3.24% year to date. Mumia Sugar, which is minus 18.18% year to date, has to shutter its sugar crushing facility and is a highly speculative stock, which I wouldn't touch, frankly. Once again, thank you for stopping by.